Hello, and thank you so much for being with us today, this Wednesday, September 3rd. I'm meteorologist Leah Pizzetti, and this is Weather Out West, the hour-long show where we showcase the latest on what's happening weather-wise across the western United States. You'll find forecasts from our meteorologists in Colorado, Idaho, Washington, Oregon, California, and Arizona. We start today in Northern California, where storms and lightning strikes are causing an increased risk for fire starts. Let's get to meteorologist Brendan Minchef in Sacramento with a track of those storms and how long they'll stick around.
Hey, Brendan Minchef in Sacramento. Tuesday was a very active weather day across Northern California, and that's setting up some of what we're going to see on Wednesday as well. So looking at radar and satellite from early Tuesday morning through to Tuesday evening, there were a lot of showers and thunderstorms, mainly in the high country, but we definitely had some in the lower elevations as well. So this specifically was from 5 a.m. on Tuesday to noon on Tuesday. And I'm pointing out this area because this is where we've seen a lot of the new fires starting. So we'll wait for it to restart here, and here we go. So you see this parade of storms that moved through Stanislaus County, up into Tuolumne County, and also into Calaveras County. A lot of lightning, not a lot of rain to go with it. And then that little isolated storm that you'll see pop up right around lunchtime right there is likely the cause of what sparked the 2-7 fire. And it's called the 2-7 fire because there have been a lot of fires sparked by these storms. So officially, CAL FIRE is calling this now the TCU September Lightning Complex Fire. These fires are a little confusing because they just have numbers. There's no names with them. But the ones that have been the most concerning, the most problematic have been the 2-7 fire in Calaveras County near Murphy's. That's burned as of Tuesday evening about 584 acres. And the 6-5 fire in Tuolumne, which has burned about 4,000 acres. And unfortunately, we are going to see more thunderstorms today. It may not be quite as widespread, but there definitely is still a risk for dry lightning and therefore high fire danger and therefore another weather impact alert. Important to remember when we're talking about high fire danger days, you got to have that go bag packed. And CAL FIRE has the go bag 5 Ps. The first and most important is people. One bag for each person in your household. Should include clothes and at least a few non-perishable snacks. Now, number 2 is pets. At least one go bag for the pets in your household. Maybe you need 2 though. Number 3, and remember, this is in order of most importance. Number 3, papers, important documents, passports, birth certificates, marriage licenses, insurance documents, social security cards. Those things should all end up in your go bag as well. You also need your prescriptions, your medical devices count as well. Anything that you need medically needs to end up in a go bag as well. And then finally, this is the least important item, photos. This is sentimental items of value to you, but that are not necessarily the most important thing. That could be little trinkets, little knickknacks, maybe photos that aren't digitized. The important thing is that your sentimental items do not slow you down getting out the door. As we look at Futurecast through this afternoon, you see more showers and thunderstorms popping up along the Sierra Crest. This model's not showing as much as what we saw on Tuesday, but nonetheless, it's important to be fire ready once again with that weather impact alert continuing today for the threat for thunderstorms, including dry lightning and new fire starts. And remember, if you hear thunder, you need to go indoors. Temperature-wise across the Sierra, we're going to be looking at highs in the upper 80s to low 90s, but still, regardless of temperature, things are going to be primed for thunderstorm development. In the valley, temperatures are going to be in the middle 90s today, which is an improvement from where we've been for the Labor Day weekend and the start of this week. With temperatures having been near the triple-digit mark, we are going to notice this downturn that arrives for the rest of this week, especially by the time we get to Friday and Saturday, as temperatures top out only in the mid to upper 80s across much of the valley. We'll continue to see mid to upper 80s as we head through the weekend and middle 80s for much of next week. But again, a lot of the focus, rightfully so, is going to be on those high country showers and thunderstorms and the fire risk.
Thanks, Brendan. That was a really great explanation. Now let's head to Southern California. Meteorologist Vanessa Paz is in San Diego watching the chance for thunderstorms in part of that region as well.
Happy Wednesday from San Diego, California. I'm CBS 8 meteorologist Vanessa Paz. Here's what it looked like earlier this morning from our Hotel Del Skycam. Not a cloud in the sky. And of course, it is resulting into rapid warming, especially when it comes to interior parts of the county. All right, we got to give a shout out to our local photographer, Barry Allman, for submitting in this incredible photo of the sunset. Here's what you need to know as we kick off the second half of what's likely a short work week for a lot of people who had a long holiday weekend. On Thursday, lingering monsoonal moisture will continue for the coast all the way towards the desert areas. And looking ahead to Friday, Friday X is our transition day out of this mugginess into a much cooler and drier pattern. And by Saturday, most of the inland neighborhoods will average 80s and we'll be back into the 70s for most of our coastal and beach neighborhoods. As we take a look at today's highs versus where we should be for this time of the year, we'll be anywhere between 1 to 6 degrees warmer than normal for our most populated neighborhoods, stretching from the coast all the way towards the valleys. A daytime high of 82 expected for San Diego. Chula Vista will top out close to 80 degrees, near 90 in Vista, and we'll hit 90s easily for neighborhoods like El Cajon as well as Ramona. Meanwhile, mid 80s for Palomar Mountain, which is about 1 degree above the 30-year normal. In Borrego Springs, believe it or not, they'll be topping out in the low hundreds this afternoon, and that's actually shy of where they should be for this time of year. All right, so here's that area of low pressure. We have a couple of troughs brewing off the west coast, but that's not really contributing into cooler air for us, at least in SoCal. It's mainly contributing to increased onshore flow for Northern California as well as the Pacific Northwest. That ridge of high pressure will continue to bring that easterly flow, also known as the monsoon, into Southern California today as well as tomorrow, and muggy conditions inland, meanwhile, for the valleys, or muggy conditions, I should say, for the valleys. All right, our forecast radar continues to show some light activity this afternoon in the form of thunderstorms, perhaps mainly for the mountains and those higher elevations. We get a little break from it later on tonight into Thursday morning, and then it picks back up again in terms of that instability for Thursday afternoon. Then Friday, we're looking at much drier conditions. So here's that day-by-day chance of rain, mainly for the mountain areas. It is quite high, or highest, I should say, Wednesday, Thursday, even all the way into Saturday, and then you could see it plummet down to nearly 0% by the time we get to the latter part of the weekend. Overnight lows are still going to shoot rather warm in the high 60s, some low 70s out there from the coast all the way towards the mountain areas. Tomorrow's highs are going to be a smidge cooler than today. We'll be in the high 70s for the coastal areas. The inland and mountain areas will continue to average highs in the 90s, and then we'll be shooting close to 100 degrees, still below average for the desert areas. Here's what's on tap over the next 7 days. Tomorrow is going to be one of the warmest days of the next 7, especially for the inland valleys. We'll be in the mid to low 90s there, and then we'll see 80s make a return this weekend. Most areas will be in the 80s by the time we get to the first half of the weekend, and then we'll warm up slightly by Sunday. The mountain areas will top out in the 90s this afternoon with that chance for thunderstorms tomorrow, and then we'll drop down to the mid to high 80s by the time we get to Friday, and we'll stay in that pattern of the 80s looking ahead to the middle of next week. Meanwhile, for the desert areas, again, we should typically be anywhere between 100 and 105 when it comes to daytime highs for this time of year. After all, we are still in summer, even though we're reaching the end of it. But looks like we'll see those daytime highs climb a few degrees looking ahead to Sunday and Monday, and then we're back in the mid 90s by the time we get to the middle of next week.
Thank you, Vanessa. Still ahead after the break, we'll move to the inland Northwest, where unseasonably warm September temperatures are blanketing parts of Idaho and eastern Washington. Those forecasts are after the break. Welcome back to Weather Out West. We think of September as the month when temperatures start to cool, but that's not the case in eastern Washington. Meteorologist, our team there is in Spokane with the triple digits still hounding eastern Washington. Thomas Patrick is there with the latest.
I'm meteorologist Thomas Patrick in Spokane, Washington. It has been insanely hot to start this month. In fact, record-breaking temperatures on the first 2 days of the month will keep going for today. So weather impact alert days go through this Thursday as the record heat also goes through these next 2 days. Additionally, Some areas are now experiencing poor air quality due to some of the wildfires. So those are the two major impacts we are tracking across eastern Washington, of course, with heat advisories and extreme heat warnings continuing for now 2 more days. Temperatures generally will be between 95 and 105 degrees for the next 2 afternoons in a row. So here's what it's looked like so far this month. It's been all record high temperatures. 99 degrees on the 1st, 99 yesterday, and once again forecasting 99 degrees today. All these breaking those daily record highs, but with it also being the 1st of the month, these happen to be the all-time September record highs as well. 99 has been a mark Spokane has not hit before in the month of September. So these are now all monthly record high temperatures. 100 degrees to be determined. We are within touching distance of that threshold today, which also would be the first 100-degree day of the entire year. Back in July, we only had a handful of days at 97, so September is now leading the way as the outright hottest month here in Spokane. There's that old record, 1988, of 98 degrees, again with a chance to hit 100 this afternoon. We are very, very close around the metro between Spokane and Coeur d'Alene, about 97 in Pullman on the Palouse, and plenty of triple digits as you would expect in central Washington. So incredibly hot to start the month. Still continues today and tomorrow. Our weather impact alert days is usually what we use when it's 95 and above, and we've easily cleared that threshold quite easily. Of course, what you need to know is to stay hydrated, stay cool, make sure the AC is working, make sure others' AC is working as well. Your neighbors, if their AC goes out, might want to offer them a place to cool down. And of course, look after your pets as well. Never ever leave them in the car that is parked outside, even with the window cracked, because that just does not work. And the inside temperatures can oftentimes climb to about 140 degrees, which would be way too dangerous for your pets. Additionally, we are tracking air quality concerns across the region. I want to focus in on Stevens County in northeastern Washington because this is getting the worst of the air quality reports so far this morning, and it is because there are wildfires in that region. It's a little bit lost to the haze of the morning today, but all this gray you see here is not general cloud cover. This is all wildfire smoke. So it appears to be hazy in the skies all throughout the inland Northwest, but for those in the vicinity of these active wildfires, you're getting the worst of the air quality. It's about a half a dozen fires. In fact, the Crown Creek and the Black Hawk Mountain fires are almost combining into a complex that is south of Northport. The other largest fire to point out is the Rattlesnake Fire, smoke visible from I-90, which is several miles to the south there, but that is how much smoke that we're seeing from all these fires. So that's why the communities in this region experiencing unhealthy air quality at times for today, and we'll do the same tomorrow as well. So it's just all about the heat and the air quality these next 2 days. But we'll still be in the 90s all the way through Saturday in Spokane. No big time heat relief until we get to the middle part of next week.
Thank you, Thomas. Still ahead after the break, we'll head west to Portland and Seattle with a check on those forecasts and if the heat impacting communities there is as bad as the eastern parts of that region. And we're also actually, before that, going to take a check on the forecast in Boise, where conditions are also warm. Hector Mendoza is in Boise there. Let's get to that now.
Hello, my name is Hector Mendoza, forecasting out here in Boise, Idaho, and we had a scorcher of an afternoon yesterday here in Boise, hitting triple digits. Other spots there in Mountain Home hit and passed that century mark there at 101. Other spots, as you look at Nampa, Caldwell, and even into Ontario, stayed into those upper 90s, but we are going to continue to see that heat that's going to return for today, but not nearly as hot. But with that 100-degree day yesterday, we've hit 7 total days at or above 100 degrees so far for this year, and we did have a 2-day streak, which is the first time we've seen it so far this year, which we hit it on Monday and on Tuesday with 2 straight days of triple digits. Now, this is only the 3rd time that September's ever seen 2 or more days of triple digit temperatures there. The last time we saw that was back in 2022, which we had a total of 4 days. And then before that was about 2 years before that in 2020, which we only had 2, pretty similar to what we're seeing at least into the beginning of this week. But as we look at the temperatures here for this afternoon, we're going to see that temperatures continue into those upper 90s. We see upper 80s, low 90s for the Magic Valley, and that's the same conditions we're going to be seeing out in some of those mountain spots. But here is a look at the big picture of what we're seeing at least for today and leading into the weekend, as we're going to see some of that moisture that's going to continue its way on through. So bringing in some of those shower chances. Most of that stays isolated in areas through the Oahes and closer into the Idaho-Nevada border, but we will continue to see some of the drier conditions and some of the warmer temperatures that we're going to be seeing here for the Treasure Valley and even up into the mountains. So it's going to take some time before we start to see some of those storm chances make their way into our neck of the woods. And then it's not until the weekend that we see this system here off into the Pacific that's going to be slow moving, that makes its way through. So we already have mid-level moisture that's making its way through. Not really seeing much of that, but that system there is going to tap into some of that moisture and bring us some of those storm chances there and a cool down. And we're going to see some relief from some of the heat that we've seen in the past couple of days. So it's not until the weekend as we start to see some of the storm chances here into the Treasure Valley. That continues not just into the weekend, but into the middle of next week, possibly extending on into Thursday. As we look at the Magic Valley, we see higher chances here for Saturday, and they start to diminish and stay pretty slight there all the way through the rest of next week. And it takes a little bit longer for the mountains to see some of those chances really start to increase. So this weekend not looking too bad. It's not until we get towards the middle of next week that we start to see some of those storm chances make their way through, and we could see some of that rain and some of those thunderstorms through the afternoons there from Monday all the way into Wednesday and into Thursday. But I wanted to take a look back here at this system again, as we are going to see that depending on where the center of that system is, we're going to see a significant cool down. And there's a chance that instead of seeing some of those temperatures reach the mid to upper 70s as we have forecast for now, we could possibly see that drop down to the 60s and even into the 50s. But it's all dependent on where the center of that system is. So as we take a look at the next 10 days, we're going to start to see if these temperatures start to hold. That's where we start to notice that some of those lower temperatures start to come down. But again, we're going to start to see cooler temperatures into the morning and more autumn-like weather that we see as we head on into next week. So as we look at the 7-day forecast here for this mountain spots here, we're going to see a little bit more of those sunny skies there Friday. And then as we get on into the weekend, we'll start to see those clouds start to increase again. Temperatures will stay into those upper 70s and drop down into the mid 60s with some of those isolated thunderstorm chances. As we look on into Wednesday, that is when we see much more likelihood of some of those thunderstorms to roll their way through into some portions of the Central Mountains. As we look at the 7-day forecast here in Twin Falls, we see those clouds extend all the way into the rest of this week into the extended forecast, and temperatures will drop down into the 70s. And here in Boise, we'll see those upper 70s with a little bit of some of those hazy conditions earlier on this morning. Clouds will increase into Thursday, see a little bit more sunshine there into Friday. And then again, we see some relief from some of the heat we've seen early on into this week. And then we continue with unsettled weather that continues to the middle of next week.
Thank you, Hector. And now we are going to go to break, but after the break, we will head to the west, to Portland and Seattle, with a look at how the heat is impacting areas west of the Cascades. Those forecasts are still ahead after the break. Welcome back to Weather Out West. We'll stay in the Northwest and head closer to the Pacific. Parts of western Washington have heat alerts in place today. Plus, there's also an increased risk for fire starts in the mountains in Washington. Let's get to meteorologist Ashley Ruiz in Seattle, who's tracking the latest forecast for Washington.
Happy Wednesday from Seattle, Washington. I'm King 5 meteorologist Ashley Ruiz. I'm tracking smoke haze, critical fire dangers up in the Cascades, and some cooler temperatures arriving over the weekend and potentially into next week as well. But until then, summer is in full swing still. We have a heat advisory in place through tomorrow afternoon, Thursday, for the Cascade foothills and valleys. These are the spots spots that have the greatest potential to warm up into the upper 80s, maybe a few spots near 90, but most spots will be in the upper 80s. Then we have a red flag warning in place. This includes much of the Cascades, generally above 1,500 feet. That's in place from noon until 9 p.m. tonight because of the hot, dry and unstable conditions. And so we'll be tracking the potential for some new wildfires to spark, if not the current fires to spread. So that's going to be something we're watching very carefully over the next couple of days until we get some more moisture in the air and get the stronger push of onshore winds, our natural AC. But there's the potential that we could have a couple of thunderstorms up in the Cascades over the weekend and maybe even over the next couple of days. But until then, we're still going to be dealing with the heat and then very hazy conditions into Thursday as well. Then we get into Friday, a little cooler, partly sunny and hazy. And then over the weekend, that's when it looks as though we'll start to trend a little cooler. Let's take you up to Paradise, Mount Rainier National Park, and you can see some of that smoke haze, filtered sunshine. In Tacoma, temperatures have been in the 50s and 60s. You can't even see Mount Rainier because of low clouds as well as some of that smoke haze. And typically on a clear day, we could see Mount Rainier from our Queen Anne camera, but we can see Puget Sound, Elliott Bay, and we can also see the Space Needle. Meanwhile, this is looking toward the Cascades from downtown Seattle and Lake Washington. You can see a very thick band of more than likely some smoke haze there. At the surface, we've had some light to moderate smoke at the surface. Most of it, however, is aloft, so up in the sky. And so that's why we are going to have some hazy conditions. However, as we get into Wednesday, new model guidance is showing the potential for some thicker wildfire smoke at the surface to move in from Canada. So that is going to be something we watch very, very carefully over the Cascade foothills as well as just over the Cascades in general. High temperatures today, 70s and 80s. We'll have low and mid 80s for Puget Sound from Seattle all the way down to Olympia. Meanwhile, from Everett northward, generally in the mid 70s. And once again, closer to the Cascade foothills, that's where we'll have the greatest chance to maybe reach the upper 80s. Air quality today running in that moderate range, except for spots closer to our wildfires. We'll have mostly cloudy skies and some haze over the area, 50s and 60s tonight, warming up into the lower 80s for most spots tomorrow, and then up to our north, low and mid 70s. And once again, going to have a good bit of haze. Here's a look at the futurecast into tonight. Increasing clouds, low clouds, and some of them may be stubborn to clear. But then as we heat things up on Thursday, more than likely going to have mostly sunny skies, but hazy conditions, so filtered sunshine. Then we get into Friday, kicking things off once again with some low clouds. And check this out. Up in the Cascades, we'll have to monitor the potential for some thunderstorms. Meanwhile, over the weekend, I mentioned it could be a little cooler. There's some uncertainties with the arrival of our next system, whether or not we're going to trend warmer or cooler and how much precipitation we could be dealing with. But next week looks to be more so on the cooler and unsettled side with slight rain chances.
Thanks, Ashley. A bit farther south, multiple rounds of storms are moving through Oregon as well. Meteorologist Rod Hill is tracking the timing from Portland.
From Portland, I'm meteorologist Rod Hill. So far, pretty nice down here. We actually have seen some rain shower activity in parts of southern Oregon. This was also up near Eugene, where the University of Oregon is. I had some showers just south of our capital city of Salem and then Newport along the coast. And then generally this is breaking up and moving out to sea. The thought is that it's at least a possibility that later today we'll see a second surge of moisture, but move farther up the Cascades to the north, and maybe some of that shower, even thunderstorm activity, could bounce back into the Willamette Valley. So we do have at least the chance of seeing some showers here in the valley and the Rose City a little bit later today. But all in all, it's been a pretty quiet start. Here are some of the live cameras. Partly cloudy skies out the door. It's been warm up at Timberline. Early morning temperatures were right at 70 degrees at 6,000 feet. This is our newest camera. This is really pretty, the Vancouver waterfront. This is from the springs at the waterfront. Here's the pier. You can actually walk out on this. It extends out over the Columbia River, and then the beautiful waterfront. That's the interstate bridge over the Columbia River. A mixed bag of partly sunny to mostly cloudy skies is what we have out the door, and I think that's what we'll have throughout the day. Downtown Portland, a similar scene early this morning with temperatures in the 60s. And again, as we look at our state capital, more of a cloudy start. There were some rain showers, as I said, just a little bit south of Portland to start the day. Here's the way Futurecast shows it. And basically, I just want you to notice that there's a lot of cloudiness that's coming up from the south and then kind of spilling back to the northwest over the Cascades into the valley and off the coast. Now, this is this morning. That's actually pretty accurate. Here we are later today. I'll stop it at 5 p.m. Shows similar cloudiness. So again, kind of mostly cloudy, partly sunny, mostly cloudy, partly sunny today. And in green, a little speck of a shower around Eugene and Mount Bachelor. So what we're believing is that there might be scattered showers embedded in these clouds not showing up on the Futurecast models, and even a rogue thunderstorm that could pop later today into this evening. And everything that would develop would come up from the south and again have a tendency to bend back to the west toward the coast, which is what we saw earlier this morning with the shower activity that was developing and hitting near Salem and over into Newport. We still have a heat warning up from our friends at the Weather Service for the East Gorge, including the Dalles and extending out in the Columbia Basin. I mean, nothing crazy hot, but 98 degrees, certainly toasty. Hood River just getting up into the 90s, so not as bad. In Cascade Locks and our Gorge, 87. Partly to mostly sunny skies. And again, for folks out there recreating, viewing the waterfalls, winds are expected to primarily be light. In the valley, yesterday, Portland made it to 90. It was the 19th day that we've hit 90 or better. Salem stopped at 89. A little bit cooler today, primarily because of a mixed bag of cloudiness passing, but still warm up into the mid-80s. McMinnville, Salem, and Corvallis, that later in the day scattered shower storm chance with light winds. We have the same chance of rain later today in southwest Washington, but basically the farther south you are from the Columbia River later today, the better the chance of rain. The farther north you are, which includes up through Clark County and Vancouver, the less or the chance of getting some rain. This shows the 90s in the Dalles and Pendleton at 4 o'clock this afternoon. The best thunderstorm chance in the state will be southern and up into the central portion. Madison, Central Oregon getting up to about 90 degrees. Our 7-day, 85 today. No rain chance tomorrow, mostly sunny, 89. Friday, 84, dry. And growing confidence that Saturday will simply be overcast with maybe up to 1/10 of an inch of scattered showers, 74. Sunday looks dry, morning clouds, afternoon sun, and 77. And then another weak system that looks like it has a good chance to bring us some measurable rainfall on Monday to start next week with a high of 73. Right now, a little bit of a warm up next Tuesday up to 77 degrees.
Thank you, Rod. Up next, we'll head down to the desert with a look at the forecast in Phoenix and a peek at how long things are going to stay very mild in the great state of Colorado. Those forecasts coming up. Plus, later on, this summer was full of extreme weather events ahead. How intense heat and heavy rain across the country could impact fall foliage. That story is later on. Welcome back. Conditions are looking really great in Colorado. Meteorologist Kathy Sabin is in Denver with a very pleasant forecast there.
Hello from Denver, Colorado. I'm 9 News Weather Impact Team meteorologist Kathy Sabin, and we are enjoying a beautiful start to the month of September. We had a rainy week last week with lots of showers and storms and multiple rainbows day after day, but this week it's warm and dry. Complements of high pressure building in over the region, extending from the southwest into the northern plains. There is a trough developing in the west that will eventually shift and change our weather pattern, and we're also tracking a batch of cold air, which will miss Colorado but slide through the northern Rockies into the Great Lakes and Midwest the middle part of the week into the end of this week. We could use a little bit of moisture around here. Excessive drought conditions persist across western Colorado, the southwest, the northern Rockies, and as well as much of the Pacific Northwest. So having a little bit of water coming in wouldn't be a bad thing. And some of the models are suggesting that the remnants of a tropical system off the coast of Baja may actually migrate far enough north to Denver to provide that chance for showers to us possibly on Friday or heading into the weekend. Between now and then, though, high pressure is kind of doing a good job of keeping the showers away. Heavy showers will impact travel from Minneapolis to Chicago to Atlanta. And then again, in 72 hours, we've got that push of tropical moisture coming up into Arizona. Will it make it into Colorado? We'll be watching. Today, a mostly sunny start, a few high clouds drifting in. Any isolated gusty thunderstorm development will move from north to south along the spine of the Continental Divide and really will have little impact on the city. We'll start this morning in the 60s, warm to the upper 80s. We'll see this forecast both today and Thursday. Cooler Friday with an isolated shower, a better chance of afternoon storms heading into Saturday and Sunday. Temperatures trending comfortable for the first few days of next week, and our Broncos take the field on Sunday afternoon with kickoff temperatures in the lower 80s.
Everyone is probably wondering, how come every single time, especially whenever I travel from sea level to this great state of Colorado, my chips look like this? They just exploded, almost exploded, it looks like, and they're just really filled with lots of air. And you're probably saying to yourself, well, there's probably not even any chips in that bag. Well, I'm about to break down to you why that happens. Why does that bag really starts to expand? Well, that's because of this mild high pressure that we have. So if you're traveling from sea level, the air pressure is roughly around 14.7 PSI, which is really high pressure, okay? And then by the time you get up here to this elevation here in Denver, we're talking about air pressure is roughly around 12.2 PSI, which is, of course, lower. So whenever that low pressure is sitting outside of the bag and you travel up here, the pressure inside the actual chip bag is still the same that it was at sea level. So you have that difference in air pressure, low on the outside, high on the inside. That causes the bag to start to really inflate and, of course, expand. So now the next time that you're traveling along I-70 or maybe just an airplane, you pack your snacks with you and you have your bag of chips, and that happens to your friend's bag of chips. Now you can tell them, hey, it's not just the people. They have chips inside the bag. It's just because the difference in air pressure is the reason that your bag of chips are inflating.
Jaden always has the best explainers, and I do think that may be my favorite one ever. I can't wait to get up in an airplane, look at my chips, and think of that. Thank you, Jaden. All right, you've heard us mention the monsoon and that tropical moisture moving from the south up into the United States. Phoenix is getting the brunt of that. They usually do. Let's get now to Ginger Jeffries, our meteorologist in Phoenix, with a track of the storms moving through Arizona.
I'm meteorologist Ginger Jeffries with a look at your weather out west across Arizona, where, nightly we continue to see some monsoon moisture bubbling up. Meantime, daytime highs are still well above the normal range, but today that is going to change. We are seeing so much moisture, so much cloud cover, and a change in the wind direction will now start bringing down that heating complex. So, we have been very familiar with this kind of a view every single night. Lots of rich colors in the atmosphere. Also, those rain shafts developing in the higher elevations, kicking up some dust as well. Last night, yet another dust advisory was issued for portions of Arizona as these strong storms continue to push outflow winds around the region. So across Arizona on this Wednesday, we are looking for daytime highs at 103 in Phoenix. Now, that's pretty close to where we're supposed to be this time of year. 104 is a normal range, but yesterday we got the numbers up to 109 degrees. So this is going to be a little bit of a drop in the mercury. Out to the west of the metro, we've got temperatures like 101 in Yuma, 104 in Parker. Looking for highs under mostly cloudy skies in Flagstaff at 75 degrees. I've got quite a bit of rain moving into the higher elevations from Prescott into Winslow. Meantime, temperature-wise, Tucson not even going to hit 100 degrees. So satellite picture alive and popping. There's even a chance that we could get some pop-up showers in the early morning hours before we clear out, and then the next round of clouds are going to be rotating around. And understand, this is being fueled from now some tropical energy. So yeah, we're going to continue to see the nightly opportunity for some showers increasing through the work week, looking to really peak on Thursday and Friday. This morning, again, we've got this massive cloud bank outside, so we could get some isolated pockets of showers. But again, I'm looking for it to clear out before, yes, some more moisture is then going to start filtering in, and we'll start to see those pop-up showers to the north and south of the metro. So we're kind of caught in the middle. I mean, we've really seen a lot of the energy to the east on Monday. Then we saw a lot of energy to the south and west yesterday. And today I'm expecting it to be a little more widespread. As a result, we've got 5s on the monsoon meter from northern Arizona into western Arizona. We've got 3s from the rim through southern Arizona. And we're, like I said, caught somewhere in the middle. So we're not the prime focus, but because of these severe outflow winds that we continue to see, there is a chance at some pop-up energy a little bit later today. And there's more on the way because now we've got a hurricane. And this is Lorena. Right now, Category 1 storm, winds sustained at 75 miles an hour. But this is the fuel releasing so much moisture. I mean, the peninsula looking for up to 15 inches of rain from this tropical energy. There's already tropical storm warnings posted across that area. So what's going to happen is that moisture is going to release and filter into the Four Corners, which continues to give us a chance, healthy chance at some pop-up showers. Look at this. Through, I'd say, Sunday, we've got a 50 to 70% coverage for the high country. White Mountains going to really peak on Saturday. I mean, it is going to be a stormy day, I would expect, on Saturday for the White Mountains. And for Phoenix, we've got 20% today, 50% tomorrow, 40% Friday, and then it starts to taper off. So again, that tropical energy is going to fuel some moisture that is expected to come our way and bring in some measurable rainfall. Over an inch of rain expected around the metro. I'm talking about places like Gila Bend and Casa Grande. May see over an inch of rain when all is said and done. But of course, the higher elevations, they're our prime focus as far as the measurable rainfall goes. As you can see, temperatures are coming down as a result of the cloud cover and the rain for the valley. That means after we peak in the triple digits today, we're dropping to the double digits into the weekend.
Thank you, Ginger. And we'll have another check of Lorena in just a bit. But up next, after the break, we walked you through the forecast along the West Coast. Next, we're going to take a step back and look at the big picture with details on our national forecast. That is straight ahead. Let's now take a look at our national forecast with warm September temperatures. Plus, we have rain moving through the Midwest and parts of the Southeast near Florida. Cheetah Craft joins us now with a breakdown.
Hey there, meteorologist Cheetah Craft. Well, we are seeing temperatures across the country above average, and they could actually stay that way for a little bit of time. Let me dive into it. Take a look, Seattle. Look at you. Sunny skies and 82, not bad. San Diego at 86. Check out the desert, Phoenix. A high of 105 expected later today. And on top of those, several dust storms. So lots of sunshine. I know it's your monsoonal season, but staying mostly dry today. 95 for Houston. Notice how once we get into New Orleans, another big part of the southeast, into Atlanta, rain chances. Rain chances are still expected to fire up. Let me dive into it. So northeast bound from Syracuse, a high of 80 degrees. The chance for a few thunderstorms there. Right up along the eastern seaboard from New York into Boston, temperatures in the upper 70s to low 80s. And then going into the southeast, all right, Atlanta at 88. That's thanks to a few downpours. 93 in Tallahassee. Take a look at Florida. Jacksonville at 90 degrees. Miami, you're checking in at 86 with some thunderstorms. Texas, a big part of the state, seeing sunny skies, temperatures above average, so upper 90s to low 100s, so above average temperatures. But southeast Texas getting a little bit of a break in the relative humidity. That's always nice. For Minneapolis, 60 degrees under mostly sunny skies, or mostly cloudy skies, 68 there in Chicago, just about the same. And then we'll work back to the west coast. So desert southwest, temperatures expected to climb above average. We're talking 90s to triple digits for a big part of the desert there in Arizona. But then look at some of the rain just south of there. Again, picking up some moisture out of the Pacific. That's not going to disrupt the entire state, but will add the chance, especially as we get into the day tomorrow, of even a few thunderstorms. And then to, northwest, not getting a break from the heat either. I mean, well above average temperatures with high temps in Spokane at 96, Medford around 100. So it is going to be hot. Looking at our temperature trend from September the 11th through the 17th, a big part of the country still expected to see above average temperatures, including the desert Southwest. So don't expect much of a break with the heat anytime soon. As far as the precipitation outlook, notice a big part of the country as well looking at slightly above average rainfall. Check out the tropics for you. We have one tropical wave. This is pushing away from the coast of Africa. It now has a 70% chance of development. If it does develop, it would take on the name Gabriel, and then Umberto would be next. We are almost at the peak of hurricane season, so we're going to be tracking the Atlantic Basin very, very carefully. Statistically, September the 10th is the peak of hurricane season. So you can see here we are heading into the peak, and we'll start to see conditions across the Atlantic continue to stay pretty conducive for development. For now, I'm meteorologist Cheetah Craft.
Thanks, Cheetah. And as you just heard Cheetah talking about with the Atlantic Basin, we do have some activity there. And of course, we're heading into the peak in the Atlantic, but we do want to also take a check of the Pacific because we have two hurricanes cooking right now. We are going to start with Hurricane Kiko. You can see Kiko is well over the Pacific with a direct beeline toward Honolulu and Hawaii. However, we don't expect Kiko to make landfall as a hurricane. This will just cause high surf over Hawaii. So something we'll keep an eye on. But at this point, the timing of Kiko, right now, it is a Category 2 hurricane, but we do expect Kiko to continue to strengthen to become a major hurricane, in fact, a Category 4 hurricane in the next 24 to 36 hours. So thankfully, Kiko is over the Pacific and not over any land. And we also have Lorena that is brewing. You heard Ginger mention the tropical moisture from Hurricane Lorena that is impacting Arizona. Yeah, we certainly are seeing that. Lorena has strengthened to a Category 1 hurricane and is expected to strengthen to a Category 2 hurricane here very shortly. And you can see Lorena is hugging and then actually jetting off to the east. So we do expect Lorena to have impacts on Baja California and those areas along the coast. So we will continue to keep an eye on both Kiko and Lorena cooking in the Pacific. Still ahead after the break, Labor Day has come and gone and the beautiful fall leaves are on the way. Still ahead, when you can look forward to seeing them and why they may look a little different this year. Well, Labor Day weekend has come and gone. We're back to reality now, but Labor Day marks the unofficial end to summer. That means starting to look forward to those beautiful fall leaves. Can you feel the air? Oh, it's crisp already. But this year could be a little bit different. Jen Sullivan looks at how this summer's extreme heat and heavy rain could impact the autumn colors.
The end of summer means the vibrant green leaves will soon transition to the warm hues of orange, yellow, and red, turning mountain ranges into mosaics of fall colors.
It's a really great opportunity to just get yourself outdoors, look at something beautiful.
Brett Keller is the CEO of Priceline. The travel site recently came out with a list of the best places for leaf peeping this year, and clocking in at number 1 was the Hudson Valley region in New York.
We typically look at accommodation trends, and we also are able to understand how far away those consumers are from those accommodations.
These radiant colors generate a lot of green for local economies. In Vermont alone, the state estimates the fall foliage brings in around $1 billion in visitor spending.
It is a major driver of our tourism industry.
William Keaton is a professor at the University of Vermont. He says there are a variety of factors as to why some areas experience more vibrant colors than other regions. One being the vast contrast between temperatures during the day and at night, the variety of tree species, and the landscape.
Fall foliage is a delicate dance between a number of things, and climate is one of the most important.
This summer brought intense heat and excessive rainfall to parts of the country. Keaton says those extreme weather patterns impact how vibrant the colors will be and when the leaves will begin to change.
These kinds of extremes create stresses in trees. They begin to brown up and drop their leaves sooner than they otherwise would.
Keaton says climate change could also cause the fall foliage season to shorten over time. If you do want to carve out time to see the fall colors, they typically peak in the beginning of October in the Northeast. For Consumer Watch, I'm Jen Sullivan.
And as we wrap up the heat from this summer and transition to fall, we're going to get a good look at how much the summer heat impacted our health this year. Right now, though, we do have a clear picture of how last year's summer impacted people. In fact, data from the CDC compiled by Value Penguin shows parts of the West Coast saw the biggest spike in heat-related emergency visits. When comparing visits in 2020 to 2024, the Northwest region saw the biggest increase of more than 76%. That includes Alaska, Idaho, Oregon, Washington, and a few hundred tribes. Well, that does it for us here on Weather Out West. I'm meteorologist Leah Pizzetti. Thank you so much for spending the last hour with us. We'll be back here tomorrow. Have a great day.